So we all know we're here. There's a discussion about the NPL. If you don't know what the NPL is in depth, NPL is the National Paintball League, created by a gentleman out of Reno, Nevada. His name is Larry. He created this league. It is on a national level. He created this league to give local players a chance at a national title. To start in the amateur D3 or less division, eventually move up into a pro spot, just like any other league. But he started this mainly because the NPL and the PSP, the big two in the country, do not provide players with any kind of financial backing. There's no outside outside sponsorships. For a non-paintball related person, paintball, as you may know, is kind of hard to watch and understand. Just like with any other sport out there, football, water polo, hockey, whatever, everything has a centralized focus. Whether it be a ball, a puck, a race car, you watch the guy in front, so on and so forth. There's one thing that you can watch and pay attention to and kind of get the gist of what's going on. Paintball is not like that. You all know that. There's anywhere from 8 or 6 to 14 guys on the field. Gets a little hectic, hard to watch, sometimes hard to understand if you've never experienced it before. The NPL provides a way for people to watch, understand. Families can come and watch. Outside sponsors will come and pay attention to this because now it is easy to televise, it's easy to understand, easy to watch. Completely different from what you are used to playing paintball. Every other paintball format out there is either capture the flag or center flag, one of the two, right? Even X-ball, you got to go capture the flag, shoot the guys, capture the flag. NPL provides a different format. It's a 4-man format, 7-man roster, but you have an offense and a defense, kind of like in football. Offense, you start with the flag in your possession in the start box. You don't have to capture it. You don't have to bring it back. You start with it. So now the only thing you have to do is get that flag to the other end of the field in X amount of time. The cost of NPL, I want to touch on that. That's what these sheets are for. Is everybody familiar with WCPS, West Coast Paintball Series? You all know what that is, mostly? Okay. It's the local tournament series, Washington, Oregon, Idaho. On your little sheet, cost of WCPS, we kind of did a rough breakdown of price. There are 5 events in the WCPS per year. So per person, you're going to spend $500 all year on paint. ID card you have to buy every year, that's $20. Entry for the entire season for one person is $175 because it's anywhere from $125 to $200 and something for entry divided by 5 guys, breaks down $175. Miscellaneous travel, if you plan on doing the entire season, we're guessing around $400, split 5 ways, hotel, gas, etc., etc. It's kind of a rough estimate. So basically for a 5-game season, you're spending almost $1,100. $220 per event, give or take, for you to play that event is about $200. That's what I spent at the last WCPS last year here at the field. That's what we all spent as a team was $200. NPL, if you look at the price comparison, which I'll explain, league fee, paint, you're going to spend $600 for the regionals. You have a combine tryout date, which is $90. You got to buy a jersey, which is $50, which is yours. Air is $120 for all the events, and then we have 2 different entry with memberships. One is $50. Entry without membership is $120, and that's for the 12 games. For our region, you have 12 games, just for this region. 6 teams, 12-game season, counting a preseason and a possible wild card playoff. So it breaks down to anywhere from $84 to $90 per person per game. So instead of $220 per game, you're going to spend $84 to $90 per game. The reason you're only spending that much is because you're only going to have to buy 1 case of paint for each game. You're going to shoot less than a case of paint every time you play. You're not going to buy 2 cases. You're not going to buy a case and a half. You're going to buy 1 case. You'll shoot less than the case probably. If you do have some, you may shoot. If you got really fast fingers, you may shoot more. But anyway, the cost breakdown is less than half of what you're going to spend on anything else. I didn't put PSP and NPPL on here because that's ridiculously expensive. So there's no point in even putting it on there. If you've ever looked at it, PSP or NPPL, $1,250 for entry. Airfare, hotel, you're going to buy, PSP is 5-man, you're going to buy 3 or 4 cases of paint at $60 a pop, etc., etc. It's too expensive. So, my little notes on there, 50% of the prize pool, and And the other note, the entry fee percentage, we'll get into that later. Tim will kind of cover that when we talk about prizes and whatnot for the NPL. The reason we're having this meeting is we want to get everybody kind of on board, on the same page. Red Dot wants to be our own region. In order for us to be a region, we have to have 6 teams, plus coaches. So 6 coaches, enough people for 6 teams, then we can be our own region. What that provides us, if we are our own region, means you're not going to travel to play any other team. You don't have to go to Spokane, you don't have to go to Seattle, you don't have to go to Oregon. You're going to play it right here at Red Dot for the regular season. Once you make it out of the regionals, then you will travel to other places, Seattle or Oregon or whatever, to play the regional winner from the next region. And work your way up to the finals, which will be held in Nevada at the end of the year. 2 teams battling out, 1 game, prize money, etc., etc. So yes, we need 6 teams to be a region. So kind of we want everybody to go and tell their friends. We've got videos that will show how the game is played. It's very fast. I went down to Oregon and watched the demo of a game down at Harrisburg. In 6 minutes times, they played basically 8 games in 6 minutes. 8 point attempts in 6 minutes. So each game was less than a minute. So that's why I'm saying you're only going to need a case of paint, because how much paint are you going to go through in a minute? Hopper and a pod, maybe. So it's very fast. And he designed the first year of the NPL to be strictly local players. Like I said, D3 under. So it's guys like you and me, new players, semi-old players like Mike, who's walking in the door. Battling out Mike.
Eddie, taking the sign-in sheet.
Eddie, come sign in.
Take it to him, please.
Not your cat. What I want to touch on before we get into in-depth detail. I didn't want to give too much information real quick.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll just add a couple of points, and then Harley's going to show the video of the field and the format. And then keep in mind when you're watching the video of the first game, it's a demonstration game, so a lot of people have commented on PB Nation and stuff that, oh, it looks so slow and that doesn't look good at all.
Right.
Well, the reason is they were filming it so that people could grasp the concept of the game. The second video...
The size of the field in the video is small. It's an indoor field. It's not regulation size. It says that on the video. Regulation size field is 180 by 100. The one on the video is very tiny. It's indoor, so they were just doing it to show people how to play it. So don't think it's on such a tiny field. It's basically the size of our turf.
Yeah,
for 4 guys.
The second field is an actual demo day that they ran some games, and that one's much more realistic as to how it's actually played. Secondly, obviously, if I think my own personal comments and the reason why we're interested in this is that, you know, we've kind of been looking at this thing. How do you get paintball to be revived anywhere, let alone Tri-Cities? It's an expensive sport. You know, it hasn't been picked up by X Games or Olympics or anything like that. So what's wrong with paintball? And this is kind of a solution. It may not be perfect yet. I would suggest that the commissioner himself, the people that have come up with this concept, they're very open to changes. The game could even change a little bit as the year develops for next year. But long story short, the format is one where it should allow paintball to grow in any community that has a region, because every year there's a tryout. You don't have to come to the field with your whole team. So many times we heard, even last year for the little series that we ran, well, there's 2 of us, but you know, we can't get a 3rd player, we can't get a 4th, or you can't find players that can necessarily afford to play the whole season, and so they'll play one tournament and then not the next, and so on and so on. This is a way really for local people. I mean, you could be an individual, you're interested in paintball, the league is there, you sign up like you'd sign up for soccer or baseball or anything else out there, and you get on a team, and that's your team for the year, and you battle it out to one of you, which is a 1 in 6 chance of moving on to the regionals. So it's great odds. You're not spending a bunch of money on gas and hotels. You're able to do that. And lastly, I would hope you would get to increase your skills quite a bit, because you're playing every 2 weeks consistently. And so if you're playing every 2 weeks, you're bound to pick up some new things. There's coaching, there's help, there's support, and so on.
Yeah, the other, like Tim touched on, if you don't have a team, there is technically a draft process, and they created the draft 4 or 5 guys that are just rolling over everybody, and a bunch of new players are just getting their butts kicked. Yeah. So which I think is a good idea, and there is some room. You have the draft process, and then up to a certain point, there can be player changes between teams, which is up to the coaches. If one team's too many good players, we can swap those out, kind of even things out a little bit. And then after a certain point, that it's set. Just like in football, baseball, whatever, they have the draft up to a certain point. After that, you can't draft, you can't free trade anymore. So
yeah, there's some things within the league rules that make it very fair, I guess, across the whole nation. Number one, everybody shoots the same paint nationwide.
Yeah, there'll be one grade of paint.
That's it.
One brand. It's the league mandated. They're creating their own ball from whether it be ProCaps or Draxis or something.
Yeah, they haven't announced it
but
yet.
It'll be one type of paint.
Yeah.
So everybody shoots the same paint. So it's all be the same price, same paint, no questions.
Secondly, nobody is sponsored. Nobody comes to the field with I've got a paint sponsorship or I got my marker free or anything like that. Everybody's on their own. Thirdly, there's nobody has an advantage. Employees, if they're in the league, they're going to pay the same price as everybody else. Everybody pays exactly the same price. We are not allowed to give any discounts whatsoever. It's meant to be so that every player, whether you're a kid just playing your first year or you've been at the field for 10 years, you have the same opportunity as everybody else. It's designed to keep the league fair. Second year and third year, there is the expectation that there will be more advanced divisions. So the first year, possibly 2 years, it'll depend how well the first year goes, but the idea is that there'd probably be a novice division and then eventually a pro division.
Yeah, semi-pro or amateur, whatever, semi-pro and then pro. Eventually, but like I said, the first year is D3 or under, so it's all local guys. You're not going to have, like Jared Stillwell from Uprising. He's not playing in the league. He's pro. Can't play.
Some initial questions before we show the format?
There's going to be a lot of questions after the video, so kind of keep those in the back of your head once the video is done. If you have questions about the format, just let me know. We can cover that.
Anybody?